Hello again, my YouTube family. This is your girl Chrissy D coming to you once again with another Let's Talk News and Reviews. Today's topic we will be discussing one of our favorite couples in Hollywood, and that's Miss Tamar Braxton and her husband, Mr. Vincent Herbert. By now, many of you guys are aware that Tamar filed for divorce a few weeks back from her husband of 9 years, going on 10 years. So we know they've both been together for extremely long time. Now, I don't know about you, but this news in itself came as a complete shock to me. I would never expect this in a million years because based upon what they portrayed in their TV shows, you can tell that they really loved each other. You can tell that they really had each other's back. And another thing that I like is just how Tamar seemed to really defend him to the core. And you can tell that he, did the same for her as well. So this was, like I said, a complete shocker. Another thing that I'm heartbroken about is that they have a 4-year-old son together, Logan, and so when you think about a child in any relationship, a child needs both of their parents there, and just the idea of them having to split home, well, going to visit this person today, going to visit the next person the next day, will eventually take a toll on that little boy or any child for that instance. So, again, I was just completely blindsided by her filing for divorce. But again, when it comes to relationships or even marriages, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So we can only speculate based upon what the facade that they put out there. When they come out and they're on the red carpet and they're smiling, they're all put together, makeup is on well, they're dressed pretty well. And so in our eyes, like, wow, everything just seems perfect. But we know that in reality that's not the case. Again, we can even take Jay-Z and Beyonce as an example. Who would have known in a million years with someone as beautiful as Beyonce that Jay-Z would actually cheat on her? We didn't even know that she was dealing with or even going through any of that. So again, for me, when I think about just folks and their relationships, and when I think about Hollywood, I just take it as a grain of salt. Just wish them well and just watch everything unfold. Anyway, going back to Tamar and Vince. Now, I've been reading a lot of comments out there from a lot of people where they've been speculating and saying that they could have tell that Vincent was abusive or whatever the case may be. But I know for me, I couldn't, because he just seemed to have this calm demeanor about him. Like his wife, like Tamar used to call him, with her Teddy Ruxpin, and he just came off as that gentle being, and so I would have never in a million years speculate or even imagine that, he was being physically abusive towards her. We all know that she seemed to be, she's quick with it when it comes to her words and very sassy and stuff like that. But, and so we would more imagine her being the aggressor in that relationship rather than Vince, because Vince just seemed to be very laid back. He's not someone who talks a lot or, based upon what we see. And so when all these speculations are coming out of domestic abuse, I am really taken aback by the entire story, because he just does not strike me as that type of person. Now, one of the things that I didn't like, though, just from watching the Braxton Family Values, was how she was very condescending when it comes to her sisters and their relationship, and, oh, your man is this and this one is that and so forth. I didn't like that, because it seemed as if in which she was putting them down. And then there was a part or a scene where she mentioned, oh, this kind of man right here. I guess she was talking about Vincent, saying how he's a really good man and stuff like that. And her sisters were just sitting there like, dang, That look on their face, I could tell like, wow, like they felt away, because I personally felt away for them. If I were to be in their shoes and my sisters telling me about my husband or whatever we're going through, and then telling me that their husband is much better and he's a good man and whatever. And so I felt that. I didn't like that, because to me it's like, okay, we all been through relationships. Some worked, some did not. Every relationship has its ups and downs. And so to point out the negatives in another person's relationship, to me, is the most disrespectful thing that you could possibly do. You might not like the person that your siblings are dating, but at the same token, you have to reserve sometimes your comments and keep certain things to yourself, especially if you know that everything is not well with yours. Anyway, so just fast forwarding from that, and then just watching certain episodes also on Tamar and Vince. There were a couple of times when they've been on vacation with their friends. I think LaShawn and his wife, and there was like a big blow up on the beach. I remember that one specifically, and I was like, whoa. Just watching Vince, how we came back and like, what? You said I'm jealous of you? What? Yeah, I remember that one. There was another incident where they went on another vacation. They were doing like this big yoga thing with their friends, and apparently Vince did not want Tamar to go on the social media, and she did. And he made a huge, when I say a huge scene, he made a completely huge scene on that one. And I remember specifically that it was his friend, LaShawn, that had to go in and try to calm this man down. Okay? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, if he's behaving like this in front of people and with the cameras rolling, can you imagine what he's like behind closed doors? You can tell he was probably like a beast. And I'm like, whoa. And I could just see the fear in her eyes, like, oh my gosh. She even said it out of her own mouth, that this dude literally embarrassed me in front of all these people. So again, it just goes to show you that sometimes, you don't want to judge, but sometimes you can take bits and pieces of the puzzles and try to put them together to see that something is not all the way right. Another thing too is that the recent interviews that Miss Evelyn Braxton has been doing. Now, that's Tamar's mom. And the fact that she came out and confirming all this speculation, to me, it's like, okay, that there's definitely some truth to it. I don't see the reason for her mom to come out and make these statements or these allegations against him and they're not true. She just does not strike me as that type of person or mom. What I get from the interviews is that she's basically trying to protect her daughter. And one of the things that she did mention in an interview that she did on, I think it's a Ricky Smiley show, is that she was saying that I'd rather me doing these interviews and my daughter be mad at me than to not have my daughter here, and for her to be dead and not having her around. So she said, let her be mad at me all she wants to. I know she will get over it. But I'd rather have her here with me where she can, start over and get her life together than for her to be 6 feet under. And as a mom, I really empathize with that. I can actually relate to that because I know for me, I would never turn a blind eye to any situation, any negative situation that my child may be in and not say anything about it. If it means coming out to embarrass you just to make sure that he gets on the right track, I'll probably do the same thing, And so I know there are a lot of folks out there that are saying, oh, yeah, she needs to mind her business. She needs to not do any more interviews. And granted, yeah, I agree to some extent there. But if she has been there and witnessed these things for herself, right? It has to be a reason why she's coming and speaking out. Like she's saying, like, look, you cannot, Tamar, you cannot go back down that road with this man. That's what I gather from that interview. Because she also did another interview with Sister Circle, and where she was saying that I guess she woke up one night and heard a big bang, and she went downstairs because she thought it was the elevator. And when she got down there, she witnessed Vincent beating her daughter, abusing her child. And when she approached him and said, no, this is not what we do, she said he turned on her. Okay? And she had to basically run and barricade herself in one of the rooms and that the baby was in. So you can just imagine that fear that was in that home. If his wife is afraid of him and then his mother-in-law is afraid of him, this dude seemed like he was a tyrant behind closed doors. And so just hearing Miss Evelyn Braxton coming out and saying these things really breaks my heart, because Tamar and Vince, in the public's eye, they put on this huge facade like all is well, and this is my husband and I'm riding with him and all these other things. But then behind closed door you're getting pounded on. I mean, that's not life. And for me, I can't imagine giving 9 years of my life to being physically abused. You're abusing and punching and my body like that, and you're supposed to be my husband, you're supposed to be the one to protect me, but then you're taking advantage of me. It hurts me to the core. Okay, and again, we all remember that 911 phone call that transpired, I think was last year, August in 2016, where he bit her finger, and the person that called said it is something that, this is not the first incident. It's something that happens all the time, which basically solidifies that it's not the first incident, that it's been an ongoing thing. There's been another interview lately with the sisters in the airport, and they were all, they were just singing like a canary, okay? Oh, this is not his first time, and they were going at it, and I'm like, whoa. And you can tell that they were more relieved, like they were waiting. They've been waiting to come out to say these things for a very long time. And so it's like now this is the opportunity for them to come out and try to say, I don't know if they're saying it to be mean-spirited towards him or Tamar, or they're doing it to try to save her. Okay? It's just like with all these things happening, it's like I'm going back in my memory of all the shows and the season that I've watched. There have been times when they were supposed to go on girls' vacation, okay? And guess who showed up? Vince. It's like she was not willing to go anywhere without him. And her sisters used to be so upset. They were like, if our significant others can't come, he should not be here. And so when I stop and think about it, I'm like, really and truly, that's usually the behavior of an abusive person or a person with low self-esteem, to the point where you can tell that he did not want her to go anywhere without him. He had to be there. He had to be in the midst of it, in the midst of a girl's or a sister vacation, which to me just did not make any sense at all. And now I see why her sisters used to be so upset that he was always around or he was always there. But again, for me, I think the best thing to do is just to keep them in prayer, especially for their son, Logan. I think at the end of it all, he's the one that's going to suffer the most, because he's not going to have both parents around. But at the same time, if there was abuse going on in that home, can you imagine how much he has seen already? And that's going to damage that little boy, so now I see why when Tamar filed for divorce, why she actually asked for, I think it was sole custody of their son. Now it makes sense. So that shows you that she does not trust Vince with him 100%. But again, we just got to keep them in prayer. Please let me know what you think about this. I know it's been a topic that's been circulating for the longest time, but I just want us to be able to keep an open mind about it, keep them in our prayers at the same time, and try not to be too condescending or on them. They're human beings as well. Whether they're in Hollywood or how filthy rich they are, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're human beings just like we are. So again, thank you for watching. Please rate and subscribe and leave your comment at the bottom. Talk to you later.